Alright, I just want to say, I was trying to record videos like this for a while, but, I was having a lot of issues with my mic and everything. Got it fixed. I said yesterday on stream I'd wear this shirt for a video, or a stream, but as you can see, it's really, really small on me. Yeah, it's my Coastal Carolina shirt. Talked about it a little bit yesterday. But this, I'm just going to be doing a mock draft. This is a whole 3-round mock draft. I think either 3 or 2 rounds. I can't remember. Well, yeah, it's 3 rounds. I like doing more than one, just because there's more than the first round of players who deserve to be talked about. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And I'm going to go through these pretty quickly. I don't like to spend a lot of time on each pick, especially if, like, you don't really need to. But, alright, so, first pick, I've been going with CJ Stroud. I personally think that Bryce Young's a better player, but I know a lot of the talking heads, experts as you might call them, say CJ Stroud's better. I see the Lions picking CJ Stroud because I think he does have a bit of a higher upside, but they're both great quarterbacks. I don't think you can really go wrong with either of them. I think Bryce Young's more NFL ready, but CJ Stroud has more potential, and they tend to draft off potential. I mean, we saw that last year with Traylon Walker and Nate Hutchinson. Houston Texans, Will Anderson. If they do not draft him when he's on the board, I'm going to be so mad. As a Texans fan, if we're picking number 2 and he's on the board and we don't pick him, I'm going to be so mad. Even if we pick it 4 or 5 and he's still on the board, we better pick him. We can address quarterback later or next year. I don't know. I mean, there's still going to be good quarterbacks available next year. I'm kind of against the Carolina Panthers taking a quarterback here, but if Bryce Young's available, he's just too good to pass up. I know they have other options like Matt Corral, but I don't think he'd really fare well in that system, and I really want Corral to get a chance. I think he's actually a really good quarterback. So I'm kind of against the Panthers taking a quarterback here, but I do think that they will. Now, I think they're going to go offensive tackle. I've seen some talk about corner, D-line. I think they're going to go offensive tackle. I think Peter Skoronski's the best one in this draft. Definitely the most pro-ready, so that's who I would go with. Wide receiver and D-line are both huge needs for the Jaguars. I'm going to have them take Jackson Smith and Jigba, a receiver with a ton of upside, another Ohio State receiver. But I think he is the best receiver in this class, so that's why I have him going as the first one off the board. If Jalen Carter's and the Raiders don't take him, I won't be surprised, but that'll be dumb. Unless Skoronski's still available here, which he could be, then it wouldn't really make a ton of sense. Well, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I think you could go corner here. I don't think they're going to take a quarterback. I think that they're going to try with Kyle Trask for a year, see how he does, and he's got a lot of good weapons, so I'm all for that. I've been taking Joey Porter Jr. It's a toss-up between, in my opinion, him or Keely Ringo for who's the best corner, and I like Joey Porter Jr., so even though as a Georgia fan, I'd love to see Keely Ringo go here, but his draft stock has been falling for, I don't even know why. I think he's actually a really good player, but whatever. I know a lot of Eagles fans are going to want to edge rusher like Myles Murphy or Felix Anudike-Uzomah, maybe Isaiah Foskey. I'm going to go Bijan Robinson. I know you also have Miles Sanders, but he's approaching the end of his contract, and as we've learned, you don't give running backs second contracts, so unless they're like Dalvin Cook, Derrick Henry, Nick Chubb, you don't give a running back a second contract. And Bijan Robinson, I think he's a great running back, and he's got potential to be one of the best in the league, so on a roster with not a lot of flaws, I think you can afford to go running back here, number 8. Houston Texans, this is a player I absolutely want them to draft, and it's Quentin Johnston. I love watching this guy. He is so talented. He's like 6'3". He's really fast, great hands, great route running. He's absolutely a player that they need because they need to trade Brandon Cooks. He does not want to be here. Seattle Seahawks, if Will Levis is still available, I do think they're going to take him. Geno Smith has been great, but he is 30 years old, so I don't know if you really want to keep him around for too much longer. And Will Levis did not have the best game, but he's still a very talented player. Now here's where I can see Cam Smith or Keely Ringo going, but I'm going to go Myles Murphy. I think if he's still available there, best player available, you just take him. And I'm going to have Jordan Addison, one of the Bears. I'm awfully sure he tore his ACL. I was at that Utah USC. I've talked about this before. He got tackled awkwardly on his knee, didn't come back in, couldn't put any weight on it, and he didn't play this past week. And that's coming off a bye week. I'm awfully sure he has a pretty bad knee injury that they just don't want to talk about. Because I haven't heard anything about it, but he did not play. He was not even there. He wasn't dressed. So, yeah. A player that I would really like to go here is Josh Downs, but I don't think that's going to happen. And I'm going to go Antonio Johnson. Jordan Battle is another player you could take here, although he'd be a bit of a reach, but he's still a great player. And Antonio Johnson, I think, is the best safety available in this draft, and the Packers do kind of need that. And a cornerback, I've been taking Keely Ringo. Cam Smith's a great player, and I would take him here, but I'm actually going to go Hendon Hooker. I think he's better than Anthony Richardson. I think he should stay in college for another year. Try and develop a little bit more. I wouldn't be surprised if he transferred, actually. I saw a video of Kirby Smart trying to recruit him to Georgia, and hey, I'm all for that as a Georgia fan, just saying. But Cincinnati Bengals. Michael Mayers, he's a good player I think you could take here. But I think corner is a more pressing issue, and Cam Smith is just a great player. Can't really pass up on him. New England Patriots is the biggest need: wide receiver, corner. I'm going to go with the linebacker here, Noah Sewell. I think he's the best linebacker in the draft. Trenton Simpson, another great player you could probably go with here. But for the Commanders, I'm going to go Clark Phillips out of Utah. Probably another one of the best DBs in this draft, and I think he'll be somebody that goes about this high, so I love him too. I mean, as a Utah fan, he's one of my favorite players to watch. But here, there's a couple guys you could go with. I'm going to go with Brian Brzee. I think he's a great pass rusher from the inside, also a good run stuffer. And I think his potential it's outrageous. I mean, go watch this dude's high school film. He's one of the most dominant players I've seen since, like, Jadeveon Clowney. And if y'all remember how good Jadeveon Clowney was, just go watch this guy. Denver Broncos, I almost want to go Paris Johnson Jr., but I'm going to go Felix Ndike-Uzoma. I know that B.J. Ojulari, Nolan Smith, he just tore his pec, so I have a feeling he's going to fall in the draft, even though he is a great player. I think he's better than Ojulari and definitely better than Andre Carter. But that injury is really going to hurt him, I think. But we'll have to see. But Ndike-Uzoma is a great player. Just, again, I think if you want an edge rusher, I think he's the best one available. This is where I have Paris Johnson Jr. going. If the Chargers can get him here, that's an absolute steal because he's a great player. Another player I want to talk about here is DeJuan Jones. I don't know why he fell a little bit. I think he's a very, very good offensive tackle. Probably will go pretty early. Another offensive tackle, Alu Fashanu. His draft stock's been rising. He's another great player. Seattle Seahawks, I almost want to go Trenton Simpson, but I think I'm going to go Isaiah Foskey. Very talented player out of Notre Dame. He can play off the edge and as interior defensive lineman. He can go in a 4-3 or 3-4. So however you want to use him, I think it'll be pretty good. Now, so I'm going to go Tyree Wilson. His draft stock's been skyrocketing. I've seen this guy play. The talent is definitely there. So putting him alongside a guy like Quinnen Williams and letting him learn, I think that'll be great for him. This is where I have Kayshon Boutte going. Josh Downs, I think, is probably a better receiver, but Boutte is definitely more NFL-ready receiver. So he just hasn't really been producing this year, but we'll have to see. This is where I have Nolan Smith going. I really hope he doesn't go here because I can't stand the Chiefs, and I love Nolan Smith. But if the Chiefs can get him here, that'll be an absolute steal, and I'll be pissed because I don't like to see the Chiefs do well. Right here, Josh Downs, he'd be a great player to take here. But I have somebody else I think they're going to probably take later. So I'm going to go Jordan Battle. I know Brian Branch and Malachi Moore are ranked higher than him. I think Jordan Battle is a more talented player than both of them, so that's who I'm going to have to go with. And after the New York Giants, I'm taking Trenton Simpson. I don't know why his draft stock's been falling. He's a very talented player. Definitely somebody should go here. Michael Mayer, definitely the best tight end in this draft. The Tennessee Titans need a tight end. The Bengals are another team that need a tight end, but I'm probably going to take somebody else in the second round. You'll have to see. But Mayer to Titans will definitely help out their offense for sure. This is where I have Josh Downs going to the Vikings. Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are great. Jefferson can't do everything on his own, even though I think he's the best receiver in the league. And Adam Thielen is like 32 or 33. So he's definitely nearing the end of his career. Now, player for the Bills, there's a few guys ahead of this. Jarrett Patterson, Steve Avila, Osiris Torrance. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to go Brian Branch. Malachi Moore was close. Another guy I was thinking about going with here, but I decided to go with Branch. So I think he's a little bit better. Now, if they want an edge rusher, you still get one. B.J. Ojulari at LSU. Very, very talented player. He's actually the brother of Azeez Ojulari, who went to Georgia, plays for the Giants. So, yeah, they'll be getting a great player if they can get him. So, yeah, they would have got Bijan Robinson and B.J. Ojulari. So, yeah, this draft, in my opinion, is stacked. One of the most stacked ones I can remember. Henry To'oTo'o would be a great pick here. But I think I'm going to go Malachi Moore, who goes literally 2 picks later. They really need safety help, and he's probably the best one available. That's what I'm going to go with. Texans, you could really argue for a quarterback here. Anthony Richardson. KJ Jefferson's another good one that I like. But they do need help on the D-line, also a tight end. But I'm actually going to go with offensive tackle, Alu Fashanu. We need to get Titus Howard out of there. And Laramie Tunsil he's getting up there in age. Still a great player, so we still have him for a little while. But this guy, very talented player. If he can fall to the second round and the Texans can get him, absolutely should. For the Steelers, you can try and beef up your interior O-line, but I'm going to go with a defensive lineman, Javon Dexter. I think think he's one of the better interior defensive linemen. I've watched a lot of Florida's games this year, actually, and I've been really impressed with him every single time. So I have him going there. Siaki Ika would be a good pick here. I do think the Jaguars need help on the O-line, and I'm going to go with DeJuan Jones. I know there's a lot of guys ranked ahead of him. Just don't even really pay that much attention to it. This guy, watching him play, I think he's about as good as Paris Johnson Jr., who I'd going earlier in the first round. So again, the Jaguars, they need O-line help, and I think he can definitely give it to him. D-line's definitely it's a position they could address there. But I don't want to friends get Parker Washington's who I'm going here. I know they're not ranking this very high. We saw what he could do against Ohio State. And his quarterback's very inconsistent, which means he's going to have inconsistent production. But the talent is definitely there. He's fast. He can run routes well. He's got good hands. Just everything. I like this guy a lot. I like him as a player. Offensive tackle is probably their biggest need. If they want to go with somebody, I'm going to go Jalen Duncan out of Maryland. I'm pretty high on this guy. I saw him going as high as number 4 in some other mock drafts. I'm not that high, but early second round, the Raiders definitely need that help too. Another reach, I have Brandon Joseph going here. If you guys saw him against Syracuse, that's exactly what he's capable of. I think he's the best player on that Notre Dame defense, and that's also with Isaiah Foskey on there too. So the Saints, they could use some safety help. They're getting a little old at that position. They also lost Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. He's also on the bigger side too, so he could play as a linebacker if you wanted him to do that, but I think putting him at safety is definitely your best bet. Wide receiver is a big need for the Browns, but I'm going to go interior defensive line. I'm going to go Siaki Ika. This dude just eats up double teams, and with Myles Garrett coming off the edge, he would definitely be a good guy to put aside Perion Winfrey, who I'm actually really high on. This is where I have Henry To'oTo'o going from Alabama. I think he's a great player. Probably deserves to be a first-rounder, but with how stacked this draft is, I do have him falling to the second round. And he's probably the best middle linebacker in the country, aside from maybe Jack Campbell, but no, I think he's probably the best. Cornerbacks were their biggest need, and I'm going to go with somebody who, again, might be considered a bit of a reach, but it's Garrett Williams out of Syracuse. We saw how important he was to that defense when he got hurt, and now they're starting to give up a ton of points a game. I'm just saying. Also been really impressed in every single game. Another team needs cornerback help is the Steelers, and I'm going to have him taking Eli Ricks. This dude's a baller. I think he might stay in college for another year. I wouldn't be surprised, but if he doesn't, this is where I have him going. Wide receiver is definitely a big need for the Packers, and I'm going to have them taking another second-round wide receiver in Rashee Rice out of SMU. I haven't seen a whole lot of him play, but I've seen some of his highlights. I saw him play last week. This dude he's very, very talented. He's like not tall, but he's big and he's strong. He's really fast. He was obviously pretty hard to tackle, as we saw last week, and I think his potential is really high. Also, whenever I see R. Rice, I think of Ray Rice. If you know, you know. And if this guy does decide to enter the draft, this is where I have him going. Anthony Richardson, another Florida quarterback, actually, because they have Kyle Trask on their roster. I have been going with Kyle Trask, and if he turns out to be good, then great, good for them. They can, you kind of wasted the pick, but if he doesn't, you got Anthony Richardson to put in. See what he can do. You're just so loaded, you could probably add to the defense a little bit, but I think with the weapons that they have, there's no way that I think you'd do bad. What I'm going here is Jared Verse. This dude's draft stock has risen so much. He's definitely the best player in Florida State's defense, and this is where I have him going. I've seen some drafts sneaking him in the first round. I don't think he's quite there yet, but he would go to a good team on the other side of Aaron Donald, who's also getting up there in age, but so I think they'd be getting a good player. Okay, the Colts absolutely need a wide receiver, and in my opinion, the best one available here is Zay Flowers. Jacob Cowing, Jalen Hyatt, and Marvin Mims are all up there too. But Zay Flowers, when he's on, and he's really hard to stop. So that's why I'm going there. Another team that could use a wide receiver, the Patriots. I don't have him taking one here, but I do have him take a cornerback, Devin Witherspoon from Illinois. This dude, he's a very good physical corner, gets off blocks. He can definitely help in the run game. You can't throw little quick passes. He blows those up every single time. Great at defending the short passes too. So he's definitely somebody you could slot into that defense, and he should do well. Commanders, I could definitely see him taking a quarterback, but I really don't think that that's the play here. I'm going to have him taking Broderick Jones from Georgia. I watched a lot of Georgia football. Solid offensive tackle. Not really much more to say. And now another Georgia player, Darnell Washington. This guy's one of my favorite players. I say this about him every time. He's like when you'd go into NCAA football, you'd make a dude 7 feet tall, 400 pounds, give him 99 speed, 99 everything. That's what this guy looks like. I think he's 6'8", 275, and he's really fast. And yeah, he was, I think, ranked 8th in the country coming out of high school. Didn't play much as a freshman. He still doesn't play. He doesn't catch a whole lot of passes, but that's just because of the system that Georgia runs. But he's a great run blocker, great pass catcher. Just his ceiling is so high. And remember, with Brock Bowers coming in the draft next year, yeah, I would love to see a team pair those two together. I'm just saying. Now, I'm going to have to take a deal on here. Jaquelin Roy out of LSU. I've seen him going in the first round. I've also seen him slipping out of the first 3 rounds. I'm going in the early to mid-second here to the Panthers. Again, I think he's just a really good interior defensive lineman. Takes up space. Great run stuffer. And also rest the pass, too. So, they'd be getting a solid player. Falcons, they definitely need help at receiver. They just traded, what's his name? God, what's the dude's name? They just traded, Calvin Ridley. So I'm taking Cedric Tillman. I know I'd mentioned a bunch of guys that weren't him earlier as receivers that I thought were better, but Cedric Tillman, I think I could definitely see him going around this spot. Jalen Hyatt's another guy you could argue for. He's having a great season, but I think Tillman is definitely the better player overall. Now I have Will McDonald. This guy, he's a really good athlete. Definitely the best player that Iowa State defense. So I have him going at here at 52 to the Chargers because they definitely need interior D-line help, that's for sure. Their team needs an offensive tackle. I have Zion Nelson going here. If you guys have considered Matthew Bergeron and Nick Broker, Anton Harrison I think is really overrated, but Zion Nelson, he was projected to go in the draft last year. Didn't have the best season, so we decided to stay for this year, and he's actually having a good season now. I don't know what's going on my face cam. I apologize for that, but it's like kind of bugging right there. So just you have to deal with that. Dolphins, they would already have. Oh no, I thought it was the whole draft. Never mind. They've traded a lot of picks. They just got Bradley Chubb. But I'm taking Jahmyr Gibbs. I think he's the second best running back in this draft. A lot of people have him going in the first round or early second. This is why I'm going to the Dolphins because they could definitely use him. Seahawks, at first I'm taking a cornerback. I'm taking an interior offensive lineman. That's Osiris Torrance from Florida. In my opinion, the best guard in the country. Jared Patterson's up there. Steve Avila and John Michael Schmitz are centers. The rest of these guys are actually pretty good. Nobody that really stands out, but a lot of solid players. So a lot of mid-round players you're going to be getting here. Chicago Bears definitely need an offensive tackle. Nick Broker, Matthew Bergeron could definitely fit, but I think you get him later. I'm going to go Andre Carter. I think he's kind of a steal getting him this late, but he's definitely a pretty talented player. I don't watch a whole lot of Army football, but I have seen some of his highlights, and he looks pretty solid. Now, Chiefs, picking right here, I've been taking Jalen Hyatt. I mean, I think if he keeps playing like he is, he could go in the first round, but as of right now, this is about as high as I can have him going. The New York Giants, I'm taking KJ Jefferson. He's a quarterback I really, really like, actually, out of Arkansas. And there's a few other quarterbacks that I like are Will Rogers, there's Cam Ward, Michael Penix Jr., and Cam Rising. He's another guy that I like, but I think he'll enter the draft next year, and he should be so much higher than this. He's so good. And Stetson Bennett, I know I'm a Georgia fan. I love this guy. He's one of my favorite players of all time. I'm being dead serious. I think he's got potential at the NFL. The dude's a proven winner. I mean, he wins games and he doesn't make stupid mistakes, and he's actually a really, really good quarterback at this point. Like, not even joking. And now, if I see if I'm going, I have Martin Mims going here. I could just see them pairing him and CeeDee Lamb just because that'd be kind of cool. And you can't really ask CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup to do it all. So adding a depth receiver right here is kind of makes sense. And who knows? Marvin Mims, he's got that big play potential, very talented player. So I think that'd be a good pick. How about Baldonado? He's the guy I thought about here, but at the end of the day, the Titans need a receiver, and I almost went Jacob Cowling, but I'm going to go A.T. Perry from Wake Forest. I know that a couple of these guys seem like good picks, but I think A.T. Perry is probably better than those guys, and yeah. Linebacker, this is where Drew Sanders going. Very versatile linebacker. I talked about him a little bit yesterday in my midseason awards video. He can rush the passer, he can drop into coverage, which is pretty much what the Lions need. Now this right here, I have Andrew Voorhees going. I think he would kind of fit in their scheme. They don't really need a new center. I mean, they could probably get one soon, but I don't think this is time to replace him. We could probably replace him next year. But Voorhees, I have this second best guard. Jared Patterson could be another pick here, but no, I'm going to go with Voorhees. Cornerback and safety are definitely two big needs here, and it's probably a bit of a reach, but I'm not having taken Travius Hodges-Tomlinson at TCU. I've just been impressed with him. I mean, if I'm being honest, I've really been impressed with him. I've watched a decent amount of TCU games this year, so they're pretty good. So, yeah, don't really have much more to say about him. The line, this is where I have Baldonado going. They need somebody to rush the passer, and he's got, or aside from Aiden Hutchinson, and he's definitely got a lot of potential, so I would like that pick. This is where the Texans could address quarterback. I'm not going to. I almost want to get them another wide receiver, but I don't really like the ones available. So I'm going to take a guy who's probably not expected to go this high, but Zach Pickens from South Carolina. I really like his potential. Very athletic, so just somebody they could use. Because I already have the big run stuffer with Roy Lopez. So I could use somebody like him. At tight end, I almost thought about Kincaid right here or Jaheim Bell. But I think I'm going to get them more O-line help and give them Jarrett Patterson out of Notre Dame. Again, like I said, probably one of the better interior offensive linemen in the draft, which Jaguars need that. So, all right, now Patriots, they got to go receiver here, I think. And I'm going to go Dante Demas Jr. out of Maryland. I haven't watched a lot of Maryland, but I have seen some of his highlights. Dude looks like a baller. Interior offensive lineman, I thought about that with the Steelers. Cedric Van Pran, Steve Avila. But I think I want to get them another linebacker, and that's going to be DeMarvion Overshown out of Texas. I like this guy before the season started. His draft stock has been absolutely shooting up. There's a lot of linebackers that I like that are just not really ranked that high, but maybe I'll get to them later. We'll see. But yeah, I have Overshown here. Jack Campbell and Owen Papo are two guys I thought about, but no. This is where I'm going to give the Raiders John Michael Schmitz. Steve Avila is another guy I thought about. I talked about him yesterday, but I can't really have much to say about offensive linemen. This is where I hope the Texans do this. Take Dalton Kincaid. They really need a good tight end. He's good. He's consistent. I mean, he's basically always open. I mean, you guys saw him against USC. He's definitely Cam Rising's favorite target this year. And, yeah, I mean, the Texans need a tight end. So, I'd love for him to take Kincaid because I really do like him. This is where I might Matthew Bergeron going from Syracuse to the Denver Broncos. He kept the Clemson edge rushers in check for most of the game, which is not easy to do. I almost want to go Zach Evans right here, but there's Sean Tucker, I think, is really good. Blake Corum is really good. Mo Ibrahim, Kenny McIntosh, Zach Charbonnet. But I'm going to go with a pretty random pick. I'm going to go Deuce Vaughn. I've loved to watch this guy play this year. I said that him and Blake Corum are some of my favorite players because I know for a fact I'm taller than Deuce Vaughn. I think he's like 5'5" or 5'6", which is kind of the downside of him, but the dude is so talented. So I could definitely see the Cardinals taking him. I almost want to go D-line for the Bears because they definitely need it, but they need help on the O-line, and I'm going to go Anton Harrison. I know I said he's overrated, but he was ranked as just an outside first rounder, so going in the third round is probably pretty fair. Now this is where I have Steve Avila going to the Packers. They need to really find a center ever since they let go of Corey Linsley. They really haven't had one, and I think he's probably the best one in this draft, or one of the best. The other team I'm going running back, I haven't taken Zach Evans. They kind of seem to like those more physical runners, and we definitely saw that last week. If you guys saw that one play where he just absolutely ran over that one Texas A&M defender. Hope you guys have seen that. Saints, I thought about going receiver here, but they needed a tight end, and I think Jaheim Bell's the next best available. This dude, he's another super talented tight end. He just doesn't play any good offense, which is not going to make him look as good, but I really do like this guy as a draft prospect and as a player, too. Rams, I thought about Rashad Torrance. There's some other guys that I like, but I'm going to go with the corner here, and the one I'm going to go with here is actually Chris Abrams-Drain. I know I'm kind of going down the board on some of these corners a little bit, but Jalen Jones, Emmanuel Forbes, Storm Duck, Christian Gonzalez, I've not been too impressed with them. And he is a guy I've really been impressed with. Definitely Missouri's best corner. Isn't saying a whole lot, but I think he's definitely one of the better corners in the SEC. This sort of Jack Campbell going to the Broncos. They really need a good inside linebacker, and he's a good leader, good player. Would really help them out. Colts, they need an offensive tackle bad. I'm going to go Nick Broker. I think he's the best one left. So that's just kind of, you need a position, just fill it. Cedric Van Pran was definitely a guy I thought about from Georgia. He's pretty good. Cooper Beebe is a guy I like. Carter Warren, Jackson Kirkland. There's some pretty good guys on the board. They do need O-line help. Yeah, I'm going to go Cedric Van Pran. I think trying to address the interior O-line early, because Jackson Carman has not really worked out. I don't think they ever really thought he would, but I think Van Pran's definitely a better player than he is. I'm going to have Owen Papo going right here, actually. I don't really think you guys really saw that coming, but yeah. This is where I have Derek Hall going. I think he's a really good edge rusher. Zach Harrison was another guy I thought about, but I have him going right here. Those two guys I think are very similar. Not necessarily similar, but both very, very talented. Now, I know Dontavion Wicks is sitting up here waiting to be picked. I'm going to go with Xavier Hutchinson. I know a lot of you guys probably saw his drop against Texas, but other than that, he's a great player, great receiver, so I think this is probably fit for him. This of Christian Gonzalez going, I don't know what the hype on him is. He was horrible against Georgia. He just hasn't really been good against good teams. So, in the NFL, when you're basically playing only good teams, it's not going to be great. This guy, I was thinking about Kyu Blu Kelly. I'm going to go DJ Turner. He's definitely impressed me on the Michigan secondary, so I know the Seattle Seahawks have gotten a lot of good young corners. I think he could be the next good one. Interior O-line, there's just none I'd really take at this spot in the draft. So I'm going to go the linebacker. Definitely down the board a little bit, but I'm going to go Ventrell Miller. This guy's very talented, very consistent. It's just he has a lot of... He struggles to stay healthy. He has a lot of injury problems, which is definitely going to scare teams away. But I think he's definitely worth taking a shot on for any team. Now, could definitely argue for a corner right here. I'm actually going to go for a safety in Rashard Torrance. I think he's just better than all the corners that are available right now. So, that's what I have to go with him. And now, offensive tackle, I think is definitely something the Chiefs could address. But I'm going to try and give what's his name? Chris Jones somebody to work with. I'm going to go Kajai Kancey. Tyler Davis is pretty good. So is Colby Wood and Mozzie Smith. All these guys are actually pretty good, but I think Kancey's the best out of all of them. They're still available. I'm going to give the Cowboys a corner, and I'm going to go Kaiu Blue Kelly. I don't know. I think he's the best one of all these guys available. Like I said, I'm not really too high on these guys, by the way, as you can obviously tell. Another corner I have gone off the board is Tyreek Stevenson, Miami. Only got a few more picks left. I'll go through these pretty quickly. I know one guy I'm pretty high on is Ali Gay. I think it's pronounced Jay, I think, from LSU. Very, very talented, very athletic player. Yeah, definitely somebody I think they should take. Vikings, I'm going to go interior defensive lineman, and I'm going to take Byron Young out of Alabama. Again, I think he's a player who's got a pretty high skill ceiling. Somebody that I like. I'm going to go with another Georgia running back. I'm going to go with Kenny McIntosh. I think pairing him and James Cook, and just, I don't know. And I think they got Nyheim Hines, too. I think Devin Singletary's on his way out. Zach Moss just got traded. So, they could definitely use a running back here. And McIntosh, he's a great pass catcher as well. Eagles, I'm going to go with a safety here. I'm going to go Christopher Smith II. Another Georgia guy that I really, really like. He's very consistent, so not much more you can ask for. I was going to go with Cooper Beebe to the Arizona Cardinals. So, save it. You can kind of see it right here if it's going to pull up. No? Okay, well, that's great. Okay, well, you can go through teams. Arizona Cardinals, who I took. You can pause it. So, is it A+, B+, A, B-. All right. Set all good picks for the Falcons. Ravens, A+, A. Alright. Bills, B, A+. Alright. Carolina Panthers. You guys can have fun ranking these picks, but that's what it is. I'm just going to go through this team by team, unless I can save it, which it's not letting me do. So, Bears got 3 A+ from the computer. Some draft for the Bengals. Also, I'm just going to go through this one at a time. Like I said, you guys can pause it whenever you want. Alright, okay, well here's the pick. I'll just go with these first few picks. So CJ Stroud, Will Anderson, Bryce Young, Peter Skoronski, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. That's the top 5. And then Jalen Carter going at 6. Joey Porter Jr. at 7. Bijan Robinson at 8. Quentin Johnson, Texans at 9. Will Levis, Miles Murphy, Jordan Addison. Antonio Johnson up at 13. Keely Ringo falls to 14. Hendon Hooker, Cam Smith, Noah Sewell, Clark Phillips, Brian Brzee falls to 19. Felix Ndike-Uzoma, Paris Johnson Jr., Isaiah Foskey, Tyree Wilson, Keyshawn Butte, Nolan Smith falls to 25, Trenton Simpson 27, Michael Mayer to 28, BJ Ojolari to 31. So, yeah, I already showed you guys all the picks, so I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you guys in the next video.